This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the Filson Dryden Backpack, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. If you find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So the pack material that we've got going here is 1000D Cordura nylon. So we've reviewed lots of packs that utilize Cordura nylon in the past, but I really dig the colorway on this. This green looks really nice, and it doesn't really look like Cordura, which I like. Not that Cordura looks bad, but it still keeps that like very heritage feel you'd expect from Filson, but it's got that durability and water resistance. It's worth noting that the bottom has a 2-ply Cordura, so it's kind of like almost 2000D Cordura on the bottom part here, and that's the high abrasion area. So very durable, very happy with how this material has held up. As you can see here, we have the Filson logo on the bottom, and I joked in the written review that just by looking at this pack and looking at the logo, you don't need to read that it was, they've been making backpacks since 1897, because you can just tell by looking at it, that heritage feel is present throughout this whole pack. So if that's not really your style, this might not be the pack for you, but I really dig how this thing looks, especially with this colorway. So these zippers, I believe, are unbranded. I couldn't find any branding on the zippers. Very durable, no issues with them, getting things stuck in them or anything like that. They're very large, but they don't feel too large for the job that they're tasked with. And then we've got these very long zipper pulls. They're they're leather, and they have like a knot in the end, and they're just tied like this. So you can remove them if you want to. I'll give you a nice closer look at a few of them here. They're a bit large, so like, as you can see, like all of these are on the same side right now, so they can kind of get like a little bit turned into like a little rat's nest there. But I like them. They are just a little bit much sometimes, but it doesn't really deter from the use of the pack, at least for me. On the top here, we've got this leather handle, so you got the nice leather accents. I think those really make the pack stand out. If you hold on to this for too long, it will get a little bit uncomfortable, but for a backpack like this, it's meant to be worn, not really held onto, but if you do take transit and need to hold on to it, that is, I think, worth noting. The hard plastic adjusters here on the strap, these are from Woojin, and they work as you'd expect them to. This material on the strap here is pretty durable, so it does kind of like lock in place, so if someone wears this and moves it, you can kind of find your spot again because it's still kind of like folded, if that makes sense. On the back here, we do have a luggage pass-through, and then we also have dual water bottle pockets on either side. They're better for bigger bottles, and smaller bottles might fall out. So moving on to the harness section here, you can see that these shoulder straps have a little bit of a curve to them, which is pretty comfortable on your front side, but they are pretty wide. So if you have a smaller frame or you're just a smaller person, you're gonna feel these maybe on your neck or on like this side of your shoulder. They're just a little bit thick, so depending on your body size, they might not be terribly comfortable, but at my size, I think they're pretty comfortable and found this back panel comfortable in general. We have these leather accents here, and these act as like a little loop. You see I stick my finger through there, so you can attach gear if you want to. They're a little bit harder to use than maybe a traditional attachment loop that isn't leather, but I do like how they look, and I don't typically attach things to my shoulder straps anyways, so not a huge bother for me personally. There's aeration and mesh here on the back, which keeps things fairly cool, but it's important to note that on the back panel, we don't have that. So it does get a little bit warm on this back panel. Pretty good amount of padding, especially because this is such a big luggage pass-through here on the bottom, that you get that extra padding on your lower back where you might need it a little bit extra. But it does get a bit warm. Overall, very comfortable, but if you don't like a sweaty back, this might not be the pack for you, especially if you live somewhere with a warmer climate. Should note that there is no sternum strap or hip belt, which I'll get more to when I put this bag on and talk about it a little bit. And I also wanted to just talk about the water bottle pocket just a little bit more. As you can see, I've got a 32-ounce Nalgene in here, and that's really tight. But if you were to have a smaller bottle, as I mentioned, it could possibly fall out. And I just really wanted to explain that a little bit more before we move on to wearing the backpack. So as you can see now, I am wearing the pack. I'm not sure how well you can see it from that angle, but these are pretty wide. So you can see for my body type, they work pretty well. They kind of rest nicely between my shoulder and my neck, but if you do have a little bit smaller of a frame, you're gonna feel that and it might not be super comfortable. So typically for a backpack of this size, I believe it's 25.5 liters, you would expect to see a hip, or maybe not a hip belt, but perhaps a hip belt and a sternum strap. But for some reason, maybe it's because these are so wide and it has just a bigger profile, it doesn't really feel wrong to not have them. And overall, this pack is pretty comfortable, but as you can see, it is pretty big. Me standing at just over 6 foot, it is pretty big for a 25.5 liter pack, but overall very comfortable, at least for my body size. So time to get inside this pack. So I'm gonna take this water bottle out just so I don't have to see it rolling around or anything like that. But we'll start with this front quick access pocket. So this it's like a mini clamshell opening that opens around 3 of the 4 sides. You can kind of flip it down like this. So there is a little bit of organization in here, but nothing that really bogs it down or anything like that. So I've just got my phone kind of floating around up here because I've got this kind of packed out. I'd like to stick it here, but it doesn't fit as well because it's actually sitting up right now, but there's something in the pocket behind it that kind of stops it from sitting in there nicely. Of course, when I do it on camera, it sits pretty nicely, but depending on how much gear you have in the rest of this backpack, you may run into issues with how much you can fit inside this pocket here. So we have this liner pocket, which I also have my wallet back there right now. And then on the front of that, there are 3 little pockets. These 2 fit a pen pretty nicely, and this one's a little bit wider. You might be able to do a stylus or something like that. And we have a key leash here as well, so you can attach your keys. It's not super long, so you'll probably still have to take your keys off to open a door or something like that, but it is nice that that's included. Very durable materials here, just like everywhere else on this pack. I should note that there's just 1 zipper on this pocket, and there is a little bit of, like height to the sides here, so it's kind of like a bucket fill. But because there's 1 zipper, if you want to really utilize all this space, it'd be nice if there were 2, because you could have a zipper here and a zipper here, kind of load everything up and then close it across. But because of this, it's like you have to like load it from the side to make use of that space without the gear like trying to tumble out. So not a big deal, but just if you want to utilize the space best, in my opinion, it would be nice to have 2 zips there. Let me open up this pocket here. So this is just no organization inside this pocket. It's got a nice little welt over the zipper, so it has a little bit of extra protection from the elements. So right now I just have a packable jacket stowed in there. I like this pocket for things like this because if I need it quickly, I can have access to it. Like if it started raining, I could just grab this really quickly, but it's not super intuitive to like be getting stuff all the time because there's no organization, and it is a pretty big pocket, so it can be kind of hard to find things. So there's obviously goes all the way down here to the bottom, then it goes up to the top as well. So quite a bit of space here to, load things inside there. If you have a bunch of packable gear, you could load all of that in there. So it's like, okay, if you need it, you can grab it, but it's not something you're gonna wanna be going into all the time because, as I said, it's kind of easy to get lost trying to find something in there, if that makes sense. So you don't want to like have your phone and wallet in there because then you'll be digging around for it when you're trying to pay or answer a phone call. So moving to the back side here, we have this laptop compartment. So something that's interesting, at least to me, about this laptop compartment is that the zippers come all the way down to the bottom on both sides, which is cool because you think, oh, well, like I can open this all the way up and really get into the organization. However, when you actually open it up, you'll see that there is a gusset right here. So it doesn't actually open that wide. I mean, it opens pretty wide, but it's like, why does the zipper go all the way down if the gusset's there and it's gonna stop you from opening it too wide? I guess that's nice because then your laptop isn't gonna go tumbling that way, but it just seems a little odd, like they're just a little bit different to me. So right here is where you stow your laptop. I've been putting a 15-inch laptop in here for the past 2 weeks. No issues with durability or anything like that. We've got some nice padding here, and then we've got the padding of the back panel to protect it on the other side. But as you can see, we've got more space to work with here. We've got another liner pocket on this side, so you can stow like a notebook, a tablet with a case on it or something. And then we also have this area in the middle here to put another notebook, or you can put a tablet there. So like in theory, you could fit probably 3 computers in here, but I don't think I would do that, but there's enough space for it. So you could put a book, notebook, whatever you want to stow inside of there, and then just zip it up and you're ready to go. So it's time to move into the main compartment. So it starts here. We've got a nice big old zipper here. And this you can kind of fold this a little bit as well to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on inside, but it doesn't really stay super well. So I wish that the zipper went down a little bit more. I understand why it doesn't, because there is quite a bit of gear that you can stow here, but it's a pretty big bucket here, so it would be nice to have a little bit better access to it. But I typically would load it like this, so it's like sitting, and then like the gravity keeps that down, so you can kind of load it a little bit better. You can't really see what's inside there right now because of that, so I'm going to sit it like this just so I can show you guys a little bit better. So just on top there, I've got my tech pouch just kind of floating around inside there. Slide that over. And I've got 3 packing cubes in here right now. And as you could see, there's quite a bit of extra space going on in there. So with a large and then 2 smaller medium, depending how you look at it, packing cubes and my tech pouch, I still had quite a bit of space to work with. As you can see here, there is a zippered mesh compartment here on the back wall. I've just got one of our little fake passports in there because that's what I would stow in there if I was using this bag to travel internationally. There really isn't another good place for it. I guess you could put it with your near in the laptop compartment, but this is nice because this area is big and there's not a ton of organization, so you can put items here that you don't want to get lost or you want to know exactly where they are at all times. And if someone were to try and get to your passport, they'd have to get through this big zipper and then also get into move your stuff and then get into this compartment here. So I like that you can also see through it with the mesh, so you can see what's in there. Like you can just pop it open real quick, be like, yep, my passport's there. Let's go to the train station, airport, whatever. But overall, this a lot of space to work with here. So using organizers, packing cubes, and stuff like that are a good idea because otherwise this just kind of turns into a free-for-all, especially below this line here where you can't really see it as well or get to it as well. So all your gear kind of could just like turn into who knows what's going on down there because you can't see it so well. So when you use packing cubes and stuff like that and maybe use that as your base and fill those up to like right here and you maybe put extra stuff on top here. And again, it could fall through the cracks and stuff like that, like the smaller gear you put on top, but at least you have that base that everything kind of like leans on. But overall, I really do like the look of this pack and I really liked using it. There's just a few things that maybe weren't, I guess, just designed for someone like me in mind, but I really did like using it. I think a lot of the organization is very thoughtful and I've never used a Filson pack until now, and I definitely will be looking at them again because I really like the look and I think that they put a lot of thought into their backpacks and I like that, so I'm excited to use more Filson products in the future. So there you have it, the Filson Dryden Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.